Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to learn about lines and patterns as we draw our scarecrow. That's the inspiration for our art today. Scarecrows were used by farmers to scare away birds and of course crows in their crop fields. I'm going to be showing you in the video today some wheat fields that Van Gogh actually walked in, who's a very famous artist whose last painting was painted of a wheat field. Here's a self-portrait by Vincent van Gogh. He's actually one of my favorite artists, and his last painting was of a wheat field in Ouvres. Here's the wheat field that he painted, and you can see in the painting there's lots of crows because the crows eat the wheat right before it's ready to be harvested. So when a farmer has to harvest wheat, he has to wait for the wheat to dry out, and for the wheat, which is actually the seed of the wheat plant, that's what we harvest, he has to wait for that to dry out. And meanwhile, the crows know exactly when to come down and eat some of their favorite seeds. So that's why farmers used scarecrows in the first place. And this wheat field here, I'm going to show you what it looks like today. It's actually still in existence, and you can even see the farmer's tractor tracks right through the wheat field, just like Van Gogh painted. So here's a painting by Van Gogh. Now let's look and see what it looks like today. Here's the exact same wheat field in Ouvres. It's a small town outside of Paris. And this is the exact same wheat field with the farmer's tractor marks in it. Let's take a closer look at what the wheat looks like. When you look really close at it, here's some close-up photos that I took when I was visiting there several years ago. It's always fun to travel to different places of the world and see new things, especially when you're going to special places like the field that Van Gogh visited. Here's some of the beautiful wheat. And that's what we use to make bread with. That's the flour we use to make cookies and cakes with, and pizza, and pastas. The seed comes inside this plant. I'll show you here. Here's a close-up of the wheat. And this is the part, these little areas here, they almost look like little buds. This is what they harvest, and they grind into flour. And with that flour, we make breads, pasta, cookies, cakes. So we make a lot of things with this wheat. And of course, the scarecrow is important because this is going to scare away the birds from eating the crop of the farmer. And so here's a traditional scarecrow right here that we're going to sketch out today. So you're going to need a piece of paper and either a brown marker or a black marker or a pencil. And we're going to even put the little crow friend on his shoulder. We're going to be using lines and shapes and pattern. You can see here on my scarecrow, we have some nice pattern in his bandana, and we have pattern on his hat, and you can even put pattern on the shirt. You can see here how my scarecrows have lots of pattern on them. They have texture in the hats from the burlap hat, and texture and pattern on their clothing. This shirt is plaid. And my other scarecrow friend is also wearing a plaid shirt. Plaid is made with line patterns. We can add those to our picture today as well. So to start off, we want to find the middle of our page. So we go from top to bottom, and we find the very center. And in the center, we're just going to mark that with a straight horizontal line. Just a small one in the very middle. From here, we're going to go out a little bit on each side. Now you want to scale this to match your paper. And I come out, and we're using 8 by 11 paper here in class today. So if you're using a little bit bigger, you want to scale it to the size. If you're using 8 by 11 paper, you want to come out probably 3 fingers wide, because we want this to be a pretty good size scarecrow. So the width of 3 fingers put together, and I do my measuring in the knuckles. So if you can't see the line, just come over a little bit so that you can see the line on both sides. From here, we're going to come up just a little bit and make a belt. That's going to be the scarecrow belt. From here I come up with a number 1. And then I'm going to do a diagonal down, diagonal down. Then I'm going to go diagonal up, diagonal up. And then we're going to connect it together. Above this, we're going to come out and around, out and around. So this is a curve up, curve up. In the very middle, we're going to do a straight line. Now this shape is going to be a nose shape. You can make your nose any shape you'd like, or you can do it like I'm going to do it. I'm going to go straight up and back to form a triangle. I'll show you some different kinds of noses. Here's my triangle nose. You can turn it into a circle or just a little bump like this. Now we're going to make the smile directly underneath. You can make his face any way you want, or you can follow me. This is a very simple smile with a simple curve and 2 lines. This is almost like a V shape or U shape. It comes up higher with 2 little lines. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to dip down like a curving V. And then I'm going to curve this out and curve this out. And I'm just going to put 2 straight lines here. And of course, for your eyes, you can make the eyes any way you want. Let's look at some simple eyes. These are just dots. Here's some circles with a dot inside. And here's some fancier eyes. I'll show you how to make the fancier eyes. I do 2 straight lines where I want my eyes to be. And in the very middle, I just make a circle. Now I'm going to make a curve around this. I start here and go up and around, up and around. It's like a rainbow curve. And now 1, 2, 1, 2 little lines on the outside for fancy eyelashes. Now our hat, we can have a nice floppy old hat. The farmers would put an old hat on the scarecrow. They wouldn't put a nice new one, would they? So we're going to make a floppy line really close to the eyes. I'm just going to do a wobbly line. So it's slightly wavy. I'm going to make the line a little bit longer or wider than my head. Then I'm going to form the brim. And notice this went across horizontal. The brim is just a diagonal line up. It's a short one, and a diagonal line up. then I can connect this together with a straight horizontal line. Now, if you're running out of room, don't worry, the hat can go off the page. That's okay. Just continue with me. I'm going to come up with 2 straight lines, come across, and we're just going to round off the top of the hat. Coming up, and you can do any shape. It could be wobbly, it could be kind of flat. I'm going to make mine a little wobbly so it looks like an old hat. Here's my other hat here. Now, the Scarecrow is stuffed with old corn cobs and old corn plants. And when the corn plant dries out, look, the green corn plant turns brown. And look at the edges. They're kind of frayed and tapered, looking like grass blades almost. So we're going to put some of this sticking out his hat for hair. So we come down and back, almost like long letter V's. And you can put short ones in right here. And you can put straggly. You can make it as long as you want. Now we're going to work on the Scarecrow's body. We're going to come out and out on each side. Make sure it comes out a little wider than the head. See how I came out wider? And our Scarecrow's arms tilt down. He's being held up in the field with a stick that comes across and a stick that goes down the middle. So now we're going to come down and down, over, over, and back up. Notice when I go back up, I'm not touching here. Now we're going to come across and connect to the waist. This belt area is actually our waist. Now we're going to add 2 triangles for the bandana ties. So I come down, then I go over, this is down diagonal, over and back up. And we can put a shorter one in here, down, down, and connect. We're going to add some line pattern to the bandana. So we're going to come across with diagonal lines. This will give a checkerboard pattern. And then we're going to come diagonally the opposite way. So it forms these checkerboards or squares. And I can put some squares here. Now we're going to add some of the corn plant coming out of the bottom here. So I come down, down, and I'm going to go zigzag. So I go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up. Or it could be a ragged shirt tail, the bottom of your shirt. Because remember, this is the farmer's old clothes. So this could be ripped edges of a shirt. Now let's get some lines coming out here for the grass and hay that's inside the body of the scarecrow. Remember, the farmer uses old corn plants or hay inside the scarecrow. So we're coming out with some frayed lines. This helps give rough texture. Now I'm going to slide my paper up a little bit so you can see the bottom here. And we're going to come down here for the pants. So I'm going to come not completely straight down. I'm going to do it at a slight diagonal down. And on this side, a slight diagonal down. So it's diagonally outward. So I'm tilting my lines out. And these are going to be his pants and legs. When you do it, go all the way down and look almost to the bottom of the page. So you're leaving a little bit of space here. We're going to go over and over on each side. I went over quite a bit. Look, it's wider than my finger. I'm going to drop down a little bit, and I'm going to connect straight to the leg. I'm going to do the same on this side, straight to the leg. So now I have my two legs formed. And again, this is stuffed with hay and old corn plants. So we're going to add some texture lines coming out. And you can do them fast and make some short, some crisscrossing to look like he's filled with a lot of hay inside. It's stuffing right out of him. Now we're going to add the stick he's standing on or sitting on. So I just do two straight lines coming down. This is the post the farmer put the scarecrow on. So he can stand up in the field. Now let's put some patches on his clothes, because remember, these are old farmer clothes with patches. So do a curve on each shoulder. And I'm going to add some stitching lines because the farmer would have to sew on the patches with a needle and thread. And anywhere else that you want to add a patch, you can. I have one on his pocket down here, on his pants. If you want to put some on his shirt up here, or on either side, I'll put one right here. And I'll just put one down lower. And then I'm going to add the stitching lines. You put it wherever you want. It breaks up the space, and as an artist, we don't want to have a big space of nothing, so these patches help our design. It also creates some neat line pattern with the stitches. Now, the purpose of the scarecrow, of course, is to scare away a crow. If you have room up here, you might want to put a scarecrow sitting on his hat or top of his head. If you have room, you could put a scarecrow on his shoulder. You could draw in the corn plants or grass or wheat down here and put the scarecrow on the wheat if you'd like. I'm just going to sit him on the shoulder, so I'm going to come up with a circle for the head. Notice I'm leaving room here for the body. I'm going to do a letter U for the body. I'm going to add a tail, so 2 lines coming out and connect. It's very similar to a triangle. 2 straight legs that touch his shoulder. And of course, I'm coming out and back with a point to the head for his beak. I'm adding a little tiny eye, a letter V for the wing. And you can add another wing if you want to. This one's coming in the back. This one I put in the front, and it's pretty comical because this almost looks like the crow is sad. Oh no, what are you? Or he's looking at him like, what are you doing, Mr. Crow? Mr. Scarecrow? And look at this guy compared. This crow looks a little bit friendly. And this one kind of is swooped down. So it's how you make him. And here's a perky crow right here. Now, to decorate your picture, you can add whatever you want to this. You can put in more grasses and wheat down at the bottom. If you want to draw in some wheat, I'm going to just draw a big blade of wheat right here. And then I'm just going to draw these little, almost ovals coming off to represent the wheat. They curve, just little ovals. See how the wheat curves and they hang down? They're really quite beautiful. This was an amazing field to go visit. So if you're ever near Paris, it's Auvers. Auvers is the full name. And it's the last place Vincent van Gogh lived. So we can do another curve, and then have the little wheat dangling. And if you want to add a harvest moon, you can, or a sun. And now I'm going to add some designs with line pattern with marker to decorate. So I'm going to use some wide marker, and I'm going to show you how to add some plaid. Of course, you can decorate and color this any way you want to. You don't have to follow the decorations for plaid, but I'm just going to show you how to make some plaid shirts. I'm going to take my marker and I put it to the side, and I'm putting some pretty thick lines coming down to make my plaid shirt. Then I'm going to go in the opposite direction with another color. Notice I'm leaving spaces in between for plaid. And again, plaid is optional. You could color it any color you'd like, or any pattern. Maybe your scarecrow has circles all over his shirt. Circle patterns. Now, in another color, I'm going to turn my scarecrow, and I'm going to do it in the opposite direction. Coming across, and this forms my plaid shirt. It gives bright color and interest to the picture. And it's a simple way to color in something, and you get a really impressive look. Now remember, as always, craftsmanship is how you create something. If you do it neatly and carefully, that's good craftsmanship. If you do your plaid lines quickly, then it's not going to be as beautiful to look at. It won't be as neat. The craftsmanship won't look as good. So take your time, have fun, and decorate your scarecrows. And I'm going to show you what my scarecrows look like when I'm done. And I'm going to also show you what my friends' scarecrows look like that are in the classroom right now. Today I have a group of students with me, and they're making scarecrows too. So I'll show you what they made at the end of the video. Thank you for viewing the video, and I hope you enjoy my student examples. If you're interested in downloading copies of any teacher-made images or blackline images, or the Vincent van Gogh field photos, you may visit my Patreon account. Just click on the title and it will take you to a link right to the Patreon account.